Fuck that whole family. For real. Because right now I'm looking at 1,000 versions of myself, and not only do I look good, I fucking feel good. It's a bitch. So if they got something to say, they should just say it to my face, right?
Or you could just say it to their fucking face.
Right?
That's what I would do. I feel like this is a turning point.
Totally.
We should just pick the hottest, most confident, bad bitch version of ourselves and be that for the rest of the school year.
Yo.
Hey, what's up you guys, it's me Luke and welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I post commentary and critique and reaction videos on basically anything on the internet that interests me. So if any of that interests you, then be sure to go ahead and subscribe and turn on the post notifications bell so that you never miss another upload from me. Alrighty guys, so today's video is really fun and different, as you can tell by the setup and this like crazy makeup that I got going on. Today I'm going to be talking about Euphoria because I recently watched the show for the second time, but before we get into it, I just wanted to go ahead and announce today's special guest, my bestie and roommate, Miss Holly.
Hey!
Show them your makeup.
Just a little bit of Euphoria vibes. You guys know how it is.
Tiny bit of Euphoria vibes.
Shout out to the makeup artist in Euphoria because this is a nightmare.
Almost had a meltdown.
Several breakdowns were almost had.
Yeah.
We did get into a few fights. It was a lot. I also was bleeding at one point.
I didn't do that.
I don't know how that happened, but let's just say that it took a long time for us to get here, but all good things in good time.
In good time, yes.
Yeah. But anyway, so today, like I said, we'll be speaking about Euphoria because Holly just watched it for the first time, me for the second. What were your general summarized thoughts?
I was absolutely just engulfed in the whole series. I've never been so focused and so amazed by a series before. Like everything I watch, I'm like, yeah, that's good, whatever. But this, I was just glued to the screen the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Like it was beautiful to look at. It was beautiful to listen to. It was beautiful to understand. Everything was amazing.
Yeah, so the show like is a lot. It's been really critically acclaimed for its cinematography. So the show has beautiful cinematography with lots of different colors. That's why we've got these different hues of colors. Lots of intense makeup. It's very stylized, but also very real and very raw.
Yeah.
Speaks on a lot of issues that a lot of Gen Z can relate to. A lot of people who have been in high school who are in college now. It doesn't sugarcoat those things, and it has definitely been criticized for that because it deals with a lot of sensitive issues and it doesn't shy away from them.
No, it doesn't.
So just to give you a little rundown, the show came out in June of 2019 and it was created by Sam Levinson. It's produced by A24, which we love A24. So then the amazing cinematographers who are responsible for the beautiful camera work in the show that just blew my mind was Marcel Rev, Drew Daniels, Adam Newport-Bera, and Andrei Shemetov. Now, if the creator Sam Levinson sounds familiar to you, he was actually the creator of the movie Assassination Nation, which I loved. Such a cool, different, unique, dark horror that's so different. And then of course we have the amazing music, the music by Labyrinth.
I saw this one post on TikTok and it was like, the music in Euphoria makes me want to go to an abandoned road at night when it's raining and just lay in the middle of the road and just have an existential crisis.
A week or two ago, we were just driving at midnight, just playing. We feel like we're the main characters.
Main characters.
Yeah.
It is such a main character feeling kind of.
Yeah, it really is a deep emotional feeling. And so in today's review of the show / our thoughts, we'll be getting into the cinematography, the music, the structure of the episodes and the themes, and of course the characters. And before we get into all of that, we'll just go ahead and give you a bit of a spoiler-free thoughts kind of thing, just to like try and convince you to watch the show, because if you have not already, please watch it. Like, I know it's difficult to come across, but we just ended up buying on YouTube. It's worth all the money. Alrighty guys, so before we get into this video, I just want to go ahead and thank the sponsor of today's video, ExpressVPN, because without them, this video would have not been possible. So let's go ahead and hear a few words from today's sponsor. So obviously we all spend a lot of time on the internet, we shop online, we browse online, we watch stuff online, we entertain ourselves, we interact with people, we even work online. So when you're putting so much of yourself online, it's important to be protected because there are a lot of bad people out there that want to steal your information, hack into your devices, and do all sorts of ungodly things. However, with ExpressVPN, you can go ahead and browse online and shop online with the peace of mind that all your data is being protected. Because ExpressVPN encrypts your internet data, which protects your passwords and credit card information from being hacked and prevents others from sniffing around what you're doing on the internet. So I've been using ExpressVPN for a while now, and they're actually the top rated VPN service on the market. One of my favorite features of ExpressVPN is that you can actually change your IP address to one of the 94 countries in which they have servers in, so that you can gain access to restricted content in your country. For example, I really love the show New Girl, but I can't access it on Netflix Australia, so all I do is change my location to somewhere in America, and boom, I can watch New Girl. And you can do the same thing with whatever country you live in. Go ahead and click the link in my description or go to expressvpn.com/LukeAlexander to gain 3 months free of a 1-year package. And just after that, it's only $7 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you so much to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video, guys. Without them, this video truly would have not been possible because we are speaking about such sensitive topics that YouTube would have just not let this video be monetized. So thank you so much to them for supporting the channel, and go ahead and support them back because without them, this video wouldn't have been possible. But anyway, guys, let's get into it because we have a lot of juicy stuff to talk about today. So the show itself covers lots of different themes like sexuality,
substance abuse,
codependent relationships,
toxic relationships,
the high standards placed upon us by our parents and peers in high school,
the mistreatment of women, and sexual assault.
Lots of different mental health struggles like bipolar,
generalized anxiety disorder,
depression,
ADHD,
eating disorders, and violence, and pretty much just a ton of other things. Really anything you can think of that a lot of youth have to deal with nowadays are in the show. And this created a lot of controversy around the show. A lot of people think that the show is like too explicit. There is like a lot of violence and nudity and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it's a real depiction of what we go through.
Out of everything that happens in the show, you yourself will relate to at least one thing or one character or a mental illness someone's going through. You will be able to relate.
Because it manages to cover that much. And I do see people out there criticizing the show for like a lack of diversity and stuff, and it definitely does have a good amount of diversity. It definitely could do better, but at the end of the day, there's only so much you can cover in a show, even with a show with this many characters. Now, I think the show is really great. I always say that I think it did and achieved what 13 Reasons Why tried to do. Yeah, and did it so much better. Yeah, we just love the show, and pretty much all you need to know is the show kind of covers a story of these teens in this small town, with the main character being Zendaya, who is struggling with substance abuse, and then there's all these other characters, and they're all friends, and then there's enemies, and the way their lives kind of weave together. Yeah. It's so difficult to explain if you haven't watched the show, but you just need to give it a try. If you've watched the show 13 Reasons Why, that show to me is a lot more graphic and difficult to watch than Euphoria. Yeah. So I definitely think you can. You should be allowed to watch the show if you're the same age as the character. Even though it is 18 plus, but like check with your parents. We don't want to get you all in trouble. We don't want to get ourselves in trouble. But yeah, that's pretty much all we can say for the spoiler-free section. If you have not watched the show, it is now your time to leave, or you can stay and get spoiled if you want. But without further ado, let's get into it because we are about to dive in to this amazing show. Let's get it.
Hey, I'm Rue. I'm an addict. You're about to start a brand new chapter.
Some new girl in town that I think you're gonna be friends with.
I'm Rue.
I'm Jules.
So the show begins talking about Rue's childhood, and basically Rue grew up struggling with
a lot of different mental illnesses. Yeah. I think she has ADHD, bipolar disorder comes into the show, generalized anxiety disorder.
And then later on in the show struggles with depression. As a child, she had to literally take medication at like the age of 7. She was on medication for all of these things. I don't know if that made her predisposed to having a drug addiction later on, but basically Rue comes out of rehab in the beginning of the show, and that's kind of how the show begins.
Yeah, medication is very normal to her. She gets addicted to narcotics, yeah.
And later on in the show, we find out why, and that's basically because her dad was suffering from cancer, and she tried some of his pills when he was, passed out, and she clearly got addicted to them and used them to cope once he died, and it just kind of spiraled from there. And do you want to talk a little bit about Fez?
She starts off by coming back to her drug dealer that his drugs made her overdose, but she goes back to him straight out of rehab.
Yeah, so she gets some drugs, gets high again, and then we meet Jules, the new girl in town, just a small town girl. Living in a lonely world. So basically Jules is riding down the street on her bike, all pretty with
She's got her hair.
She's got her hair flowing in the wind, and then we get introduced to my two least favorite characters in the show, Mckay and Nate. So Mckay and Nate are driving, and Nate
yells at Jules.
So then Jules falls off the bike, which is like really sad, and like Nate just laughs and thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
The way that Nate especially speaks about women in the show disgusts me.
Yeah.
He speaks about women like they are objects for his pleasure and his use and for his own gratification.
Yeah.
You fuck her like the horse she is. You kick her ass to the curb.
How do you feel about that as a woman?
It doesn't surprise me. That's how I feel.
I mean, you get catcalled every day.
The other day, I was like, Luke, can you please just drive me? Because I just do not feel like getting catcalled today. Sometimes I feel like a zoo animal. I'm there just to look at and to touch and to pet.
And what disgusts me a lot about Mckay especially is because like Nate's an asshole and he knows it and everyone knows it, but Mckay likes to hide behind the fact that I'm a nice guy and I respect women, but really he doesn't.
He doesn't.
He does not. The way he treats Cassie, who's his girlfriend in the show, is disgusting. I mean, in the first episode, they all go to this party at Mckay's house, and Mckay, before the party, Mckay's with all of his friends, and they're talking about Cassie because Nate doesn't like her and is judging her because Cassie had a sex tape that was leaked.
Which no one would talk about the guy in that video.
Literally.
They would only talk about the women in the video.
Yeah, nobody was like, oh, the guy's such a slut, like that's disgusting. They were saying it all about it.
Straight to the girl.
Yeah, and his Mckay's little brothers, those disgusting little gremlin twins, thing 1 and thing 2, they are repulsive. I cannot stand them. And it's so gross because it's like they're like so young, they're like 14, and this is how men
that's how they speak.
That's how straight men grow up to be.
They speak to their friends, and then that's how their friends speak to their friends.
And then that's how they speak to their sons, and then the entire cycle of misogyny just continues for the rest of the time, and it's sad and it's disgusting. And then we get to Mckay's party, and later on we kind of experience some stuff with Kat.
Basically, she's a virgin. She hasn't had sex before. All her other friends have had sex. Maybe she just feels like kind of the odd one out. I feel like she wants to have sex.
That was an intense pressure.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter who with.
Like, you remember in high school, like, there were people losing their virginity at like 15.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was constantly talking about it, like, ooh, who lost their virginity? Who did it first? And it was like so annoying. I think it's so stupid.
Yeah. I feel like she is in the exact same position where everyone around her is talking about sex, having sex, and herself has never had that experience.
So she just wants to like get it over and done with. And she's like in this room with the thing 1 and thing 2 and this disgusting grimy guy with that like little pedo stash.
Yeah.
And then she takes off her top for them, which I wish she hadn't done that, but like obviously she just wanted to get it over and done with and she was insecure, and then she ended up sleeping with pedo stash, which ew. But this kind of like sets the precedent for Kat's arc for the rest of the series and her self-confidence, which we'll get into.
Her relationship to men.
Yeah, is really messed up. So then Nate and Maddy are fighting at the party because they recently broke up, and they're on and off relationship.
So toxic that I'm not even mad at her.
And we all know that one person in our life who's in a toxic relationship, and we just want them to break up with their boyfriend so bad. And it's just like really difficult to watch because it's like, it's so obvious that this is so toxic and disgusting, but like when you're in love, you're blinded.
Yeah, in a relationship, you know it's toxic. If you told anyone about it, that they would tell you to break up. But you're just so in denial and so starry-eyed and in love, and no one else is going to love you. This is your soulmate. So I guess this is just how love is.
It's the only love she's also ever known. And something else to mention about Maddy is her parents have a really bad relationship. Like her dad barely ever talks. He's a drunk.
Not so bad that it's
not like
terrible, but it's something that maybe a lot of people could relate to.
I mean, I think it's something to note that the relationships that we see in our lives can shape the relationships that we have, and like we accept the love we think we deserve. So Maddy doesn't really know what a healthy relationship looks like. So she has this relationship with Nate, which is just so beyond messed up, and they've both got their own issues, and it's like coming together, and they're just so toxic for each other, especially him, that it just doesn't work. And they're at this party.
They just want to make each other jealous.
Yeah.
So she's straight, like, who's the first guy I can find? Okay, him. All right, let's go in the pool, and starts making out.
Making it look like
they're having sex
in the pool. Yeah. They didn't, but it looked like it.
And
Nate was furious. Jules, who, by the way, let's track back a little bit. Before she comes to this party, Jules is on this dating app, which is very similar to Grindr. Me, being a bisexual king myself, have had my fair few Grindr hookups and experiences. I freaking cannot stand that app. I always on and off delete it. It's currently deleted on my phone. It's disgusting. If you ever want to be humiliated, treated like a piece of meat, go on Grindr, because that's exactly where you can find it. So Jules is transgender, and she later speaks on in the series about how when she's with men, it's not really about the sex, but it's about conquering them and feeling feminine. So it's about like validating her femininity by being with men, and you can tell she doesn't really enjoy enjoys. So she has this hookup with Dom Daddy, whatever. She goes to this creepy motel room. And I think this is such an important story to tell because a lot of parents do not know what their teens are doing behind the scenes. And let me tell you that a lot of teens, underage teens, especially trans people or gay people or lesbians trying to figure out their gender expression and sexuality, a lot of them go behind the scenes to explore their sexuality because a lot of the times that's the only way you can do it.
It's the only way you can. Yes.
Gay people, lesbians, trans people are putting themselves in danger to experience what straight people get to experience so easily on the regular.
Whenever they want.
I really related to that scene. I put myself in some situations, not as bad as that, but still. So she goes and sleeps with this older man and
it was
disturbing.
I wasn't disturbed, I was just uncomfortable because you can tell that is not enjoyable at all.
No, she was in pain.
That is not for her pleasure. That is for dominant daddy, this man's pleasure. That is only for him.
She's getting her validation in her femininity, and he's got issues. So the guy that actually slept with her in such a graphic way, we actually find out at the end of the episode is Nate's dad. That is really messed up, and that kind of goes throughout the entire show, which we'll get to. But after that really graphic scene, let's fast forward a little bit.
Jules is at the kitchen. Nate's really angry. He's just seen Maddy in the pool, and he's in the kitchen. He's angry. He's looking for the first target that he can find, just to lay out all his anger on. So Jules, he's like, "Who are you? I don't know you. This is my house. Why are you here?
What are you looking at?
What are you looking at?" Because she didn't move away like everyone else. She kind of just like stuck back in the kitchen. And she's looking at him and she's like, I'm Jules.
I'm new here.
Who do you know? Does anyone here know Jules?
Yeah.
Basically pointing her out, making her this big fat target in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And Jules, being the bad bitch she is, she's like, okay, I'm not going to be pushed in a corner. I want you to get out. Yeah, she's like, you think you can intimidate me? You can't hurt me because I just hurt myself in front of everyone.
I mean, I don't agree with her methods, but that's when we knew. That's when we knew that Jules, she a bad bitch character.
Bad bitch, yes.
While this is all happening, we have Cassie and Mckay upstairs. Mckay had been speaking to his friends about the video where Cassie was, having sex with a guy. There was constantly rumors in the school about Cassie being a slut. And we experienced stuff like this in high school, not personally for ourselves, but there was a lot of people in our high school whose nudes got leaked because obviously our generation, like they say it in the show, nudes is like currency.
Oh, yeah.
People don't get it. And a lot of older people judge us like,
just don't take it.
Yeah, if you don't want your nudes to get shared, don't take it. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. A lot of people will not give you the time of day or hook up with you if they don't see your nudes first.
No, it's your body is like
your currency.
It's your currency. You put it forward first, and then people will pick and choose so they want to have sex.
And it's sad, but like unfortunately, that's the world we live in. So I do not judge Cassie at all for taking those photos.
No.
I judge the men who shared them and distributed them, and people who are constantly doing it. When we were in high school, people would distribute other people's nudes and be like, "Do you want to see so and so's nudes?
Do you want to see this person's nudes?" I'm like, no.
Like that's disgusting. That's child pornography.
I don't want to see anyone naked
unless I have
with them.
Unless I want to and I have their consent.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's really messed up. And so because Mckay has this certain perception and idea of who Cassie is as a person, they go to, they're making out and they go to have sex, and he just is so rough with her, did not even talk to her about what she wants in bed, just treats her like a friggin' sex doll.
He's watched porn, which porn is
fake. It's not
fake. It's acting.
It's twisted
paid
fantasy.
Actors. It's twisted fantasy.
A lot of the times in straight porn, it's a fantasy made for men.
Yes, it's just a fantasy. It's women are just the object. They're there for men's pleasure, and he goes and chokes her so aggressively that
she's like, "Why the hell would you think that I want that?" And he's like, "Oh, I just thought that's what you would want." And she's like, "Why would you think that?" And he like doesn't know how to answer her, and I'm just disgusted. So right off the bat, cannot stand Mckay, cannot stand Nate.
Just love the girls.
Love the girls. Besides Fez, he's probably the most redeemable male character in the show, and he's a drug dealer.
Yeah, literally.
So basically, that's kind of everything that happens in the first episode, and it ends with Jules leaving and Rue going with her, and that's when they become friends, and it's really, really cute. So let's go ahead and get into the second episode, which is titled Stuntin' Like My Daddy.
Put the money on it.
So this episode is about Nate. We get a bit of Nate's backstory. Does it excuse his behavior? No.
It's an explanation. Yes.
This scene was intense. This was graphic. I personally can't relate to this first instance, which is basically Nate as a child went into his dad's study, and his study was always like the forbidden room. It was always locked, and he opens up his dad's drawer, and in the drawer it's filled with sex tapes.
So everyone that he's taken to these motels, he obviously films them.
The dad is cheating on his wife to start with, is recording recording the videos unconsensually. A lot of underage people. So that's child pornography, pedophilia. A lot of them are queer. So a lot of them are trans or gay. So he clearly has some unresolved issues with his sexuality.
Yeah, that he has never been able to accept. So he's hiding this.
I think he has a sex addiction.
Yeah.
I just feel so bad for Nate because he was 11 years old when he discovered these videos, and
they're so graphic.
How traumatizing would that be? Even though I cannot stand Nate, I do feel really, really bad for him.
At that age, I do. Definitely, that's not something that you can process quickly.
No.
And or easily.
So then Nate has a lot of pressure put on him as like the golden child, and he spends a lot of his like early teen years buffing up, building up, getting into football.
His family basically owns half the town.
Yeah.
So obviously his dad's very rich, very well known in the community. It is a very small town.
Yeah. When Rue was talking about Nate's standards for girls.
He made a long mental checklist of the things he liked and disliked about women. He liked thigh gaps, hated kinkles. He liked full lips and small noses. There was nothing on planet Earth he hated more than body hair. That's one of the first things he noticed about Maddy. She was basically hairless.
So yeah, he's got these really intense requirements for women, which is obviously ridiculous, but that's what a lot of men are like. They're very superficial. Okay, so then in this episode was one of the most graphic scenes for me. So Nate tracks down this guy who Maddy hooked up with.
This is in the pool.
He breaks into his apartment and beats the living shit out of him.
This was one of the hardest scenes to watch. This guy
is innocent.
Didn't know her age.
The reason that the guy doesn't go to the police is because Nate blackmails him by saying he will go to the police and tell them that he statutory raped a minor.
Yes,
even though
because he is 22.
Yeah, even though they didn't even have sex, but he has no proof of that because everyone thinks they did. He is 22 and Maddy is 17, but he didn't know that.
No, the scene was so graphic, but they didn't even show it.
They didn't even show it. The camera on his like eyes filled with blood, just like, and then Nate has the audacity to have a shower and put on the guy's clothes.
That was another level.
He's just a psychopath. Crazy behavior, ludicrousy, insanity, borderline serial killer vibes.
Shooting up the school lights.
It was a lot.
Doesn't he take Maddy on that date that night and he's wearing the clothes?
Oh yeah, he's wearing the clothes.
He's wearing this guy's clothes.
Yeah, so messed up. Okay, and then Rue's at school and she's in class and this teacher is asking the class, tell us in 5 minutes what you did during the summer. And she puts Rue on the spot, which is ridiculous because it's a small town, it's a small school, people talk.
I'm sure you know.
You knew that Rue went to rehab, but you put her up on the stage. Screw that teacher, honestly.
No, that's so rude.
So Rue starts having a panic attack on the stage. People are talking shit about it in the school, like, oh, she's a drug, oh, I thought she died, like this, that, and the third. And the teacher just allows it to continue with a freaking spotlight on her.
No, almost had a panic attack trying to come up with something.
And then Lexi goes to comfort Rue, and I really feel bad for Lexi because Rue is just an absolute bitch to her. Saying how they're friends and everything, and Rue's like, we're not friends. And then Lexi's like, how come you're friends with me when you want to use my pee? Because she uses her pee to get her drug test done by her mom to fake that she's not on drugs.
You won't be friends with me right now. You'll only be friends with me when it suits you.
And it's so sad because like not only do people on drugs destroy their own life, but they destroy the lives around them. But it's important they didn't shy away from that. I don't think anybody would watch the show and want to do drugs. Like it does not romanticize it at all. So then we move on to Kat, and like we said, Kat lost her virginity in the first episode at Mckay's party, and the pedo stash guy recorded it.
Without her
permission! And it's an invasion of privacy, and he uploads the video to Pornhub, and the video goes around the school and people think it's Kat.
People think it's Kat.
So then that rumor's going around and Kat's freaking out. She ends up finding a way to get it down, but she goes back home and finds the video is still on Pornhub because once you post something on the internet, it is there
Someone
forever.
has downloaded it. Someone has re-uploaded it. Someone has saved it.
You can track it back.
It's everywhere.
Nothing has ever gone on the internet.
No.
And that's scary, and that's the reality, and that's why I'm glad that they made that a topic in the show. Then we get into a major arc of the show, which is Jules and Tyler.
So basically, Jules still on this Grindr app. Now she matches with Shy Guy, and this guy's name is Tyler. Now he is being so sweet to her, which I understand, like messages can make you feel so good, like telling her how beautiful she is.
He essentially groomed her. So Tyler is the name of the guy that Maddy slept with in the pool, but it is actually catfish done by Nate, which we find out at the end of the episode. And Tyler, aka Nate, I'm just gonna call him Nate literally groomed her. He catfished her and he groomed her and he manipulated her. And
telling her what she wants to hear.
Oh my god, how psychotic do you have to be able to do something like that? They're like, that is a lot of effort and a lot of work. Like, he was up all night texting her.
That's the thing with this. It's so much effort. It's not just being mean or being a dick. You're like planning things out.
Yeah, he's vindictive. He's malicious.
Yes. Feels like she's falling in love just over message. Because he is telling her everything.
And that's why
she wants
I
to hear.
get this, because a lot of people meet online. I meet people online all the time.
Me too.
But I always need proof on Snapchat. I need proof of your face. We can catch catfishes all the time.
It's so funny when we do.
It's so funny and so easy, but it can be dangerous. So please be careful. Anytime me and Holly go meet up with a stranger that we met online, we're always like, here's the address, here's the person's name, here's the phone number. We do hourly checkups.
Yeah.
We have a backup plan. You need it all. Like, that's essential.
And you need like a code word for you to text your friends so they can call you, maybe. Like,
always meet in public. Don't let them pick you up or drop you off.
No.
Be safe, you guys. I think that's what the show teaches us. Okay, then moving on, Rue goes to Fez's house to get some more drugs, and Fez is like, Rue, you cannot be here right now because my distributor is about to get here.
He's about to get in, and he's
Terrible.
the real deal.
Yeah,
this is not some kid dealing
This is like
amongst his
friends. This is a gang member.
This is a gang member. He's
face
got
tats and all. He comes there to go ahead and count the cash from Fez's recent sale, and Fez is like, Rue, you gotta get out of here, but it's too late. I don't really get why Rue didn't just go hide somewhere.
I don't think Rue understood the severity. It's she just probably thought it was another drug dealer like Fez. I don't think she understood.
And
why.
Fez couldn't exactly grab her and put her in a closet.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have, but anyway. So then this guy comes and he sees Rue, and this guy's like rubbing her leg. Like, he's like, oh, you want some of this? And he gives her fentanyl. I don't know a lot about drugs, but I know enough to know that's a tits. He gives her a sliver of it on a knife. And then he's like, how are you going to pay for it? And he's, you're going to have to pay for these drugs some other way, like stroking her leg and stuff.
Basically.
Wanting sex.
Sex.
And then Fez is like, no, I'll pay for it. It's all good. And then Rue is like losing it. She's like numb.
She is passing out.
She's like on the biggest trip of her life, and she ends up going to stay at Jules' house. And that's kind of the end of the episode. Yeah. It was a really intense episode, this episode, but it was necessary.
You found out so much.
So much. So then moving on to episode 3, Made You Look.
I just flipped the switch. Flip. I don't know nobody else that's doing this. Body start to drop.
This episode is mainly about Kat. Now, I have struggled, I mean, we both have struggled with like body dysmorphia and eating disorders, and a lot of you probably have as well. And I used to be chubby when I was a bit younger. And, you know, Holly got body shamed a lot for being quite thin in high school. So we've kind of experienced different spectrums. You've experienced the skinny shaming, and I've experienced the fat shaming when I was younger. And I wasn't even fat, but I'm from South Africa. I'm from South Africa, and the standard is like so skinny.
A bit different.
Yeah, so different. This episode is about Kat.
Basically, she is on the bigger side. That's just how her body is.
But
a lot of people's
she
bodies
gained
like
weight.
that.
She gained weight because she went on holiday.
She went on holiday.
Ate too much, and then she couldn't finish stuff. And then obviously,
same. Who isn't like that?
I gained like 6 kilos, which is like 12 pounds every time I go to South Africa and visit my family. And then she comes back, and he like doesn't want to be with her anymore. He breaks up with her because she's like too fat. And yeah, it's heartbreaking. I feel really bad for her. I'm sure a lot of us can relate. So then in this episode, Kat is reading through the comments on her video that's on Pornhub, and seeing that a lot of the guys are like really into her, really enjoying it. Guys are like, she's so hot.
They love her body. Yeah. She's so hot.
And they want to pay her for like videos and stuff. Yeah. So this is where she starts dabbling in the sex work industry, which I think was good because a lot of people are getting into sex work at the moment, which is fine. I don't judge. Do whatever you want. But I don't think a lot of people are realizing the stakes, the severity, the after effects, the consequences.
You have to take it seriously.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, it's just a quick buck. Like, no, this will affect you for the rest of your life.
It's not something that you should choose lightly.
So I think it was interesting having that in the show. Kat goes and starts and dabbles and starts sending feet pics, which we've all joked about.
Love that.
But then she gets a little bit too into it, and she starts doing private Skype sessions. Now, she does wear a mask, we'll give her that. And it is really interesting because she realizes that what she has to do isn't what she thought. She doesn't have to be degraded. She can be empowered. She can be the dominatrix. She can be the dominant one. She is shaming these men because that's what they get off to.
They love it.
Yeah, she basically has her cash pigs who she finds them for money because they're bad, they're naughty, and I think it's
I love
funny.
it. Jules and Rue.
Yeah, aka Rules. We're gonna talk about their relationship. So Jules says to Rue that she will not be friends with her if she keeps taking drugs. Yeah. Which is understandable because she doesn't want to be friends with someone if they're just gonna die. And then Rue goes home and her mother's like, where have you been? All this type of shit. And they had a fight. I mean, I can relate to this. My relationship with my mom and my sister's relationship with my mom was horrendous. When we were growing up, we would go places and not tell her, we would run away, all that crap. So I really related to this. Felt bad for both Rue and her mom. They're both they're a lot. So then this is when Jules and Rue start getting a little bit romantic, or more so when Rue starts falling for Jules. Yeah, because she wants her to take a little nudie pic.
I feel like Jules is a very affectionate person. even towards friends.
Yeah, and Rue mistook that for her being into her.
Later she was, but I think at this point she wasn't, and that's just how she is with friends.
Yeah, so Rue is helping Jules take these sexy photos, and you can tell in her eyes that she's starting to feel some type of way about it. We get a really fun scene. This is the scene where they're talking about dick pics.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so funny. Love whenever they like break the fourth wall.
Yes.
And they do like little presentations.
Yes.
Then Jules speaks about how she wants to go ahead and meet Tyler after the carnival at some creepy river at night.
We're going to the carnival, right? And then afterwards I'm going to meet up with this guy that I have not seen his face. I've only spoken to him. I'm meeting him up alone, secluded at a lake somewhere. I would be like, please do not go.
I know that Jules puts herself in dangerous situations, but that doesn't excuse it. This is pure stupidity.
Yeah.
This is ludicrousy. This is insanity. This is moronity. Jules literally gets mad at Rue for this, and Rue's just looking out for her. Yeah, so Jules really did bother me this episode, I'm not gonna lie. She was also how she like would prioritize Tyler over Rue. Like she would just not answer Rue's text and not talk to her because she was too busy focusing on Tyler. Like Rue was too clingy, and then Jules wasn't enough.
Not enough at all. So they have this fight at school. Jules walks off. I don't think Rue can deal very well with Jules being angry at her because everyone else in her life can be angry at her, but Jules, like, if she's angry at her, that's her only
She's
person.
like the best thing that's happened to her.
That's her one person.
She's basically replaced her crutch for drugs and her addiction for drugs with Jules.
And she goes to Jules's house and is apologizing, and this was really like, please don't be mad at me, please don't be mad at me, please don't be mad at me.
Which we can relate to.
See her desperation, like, you're my one person. If you're mad at me, then I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with my life.
I don't know what to do.
And then she mistakes the situation.
Because Jules comes too
many mixed signals.
Jules comes so close to her, puts her forehead up against her, like
yeah, see, that's too much. You can't do
too
that.
Too much. Rue is already very emotional and kisses Jules.
Jules pulls back. And then Rue just freaks out and runs.
So she basically panics. I've just kissed my friend. What if it's awkward and then we can't be friends anymore?
Yeah, so she's freaking out and all she wants right now is drugs, and Fez refuses to give it to her because he doesn't want to see her die. He doesn't want to see this happening more. And
this
Rue
was
loses it.
So apparently this scene was improvised.
Which, amazing.
Amazing. Zendaya?
Where's her Oscar?
Amazing.
Where's her Golden Globe?
She's basically like, you did this to me.
You did this to me.
You're the reason I'm like this, so why won't you just let me in and give me more drugs?
I felt so bad for Fez, but like, even though this isn't 100% his fault, he definitely plays a part in this, and this is the issue I have with drug dealers. It's like, yes, they take the drugs, but you provide it.
Yeah.
And sure, they'll find it somewhere else, but at the end of the day, you're making it easier for her.
Yeah.
Especially because like, he doesn't even charge her for the drugs. He puts it on her tab, which I bet you she's never gonna pay.
No.
Because where the hell is she gonna get the money from? No one in the show, like most American shows, have jobs.
Jobs.
Why do the teenagers never have jobs? I'll never get it.
Part-time job is such a normal thing at this age.
Yeah, in Australia at least. She goes ahead and calls her NA's sponsor and goes and has some pancakes with him, and that's the end of the episode.
Alrighty, on to our favorite episode.
So the name of episode 4 is Shook Ones Part 2. I don't know what Part 1 was, but I'm shook either way. The carnival episode is amazing. The cinematography, oh my god.
There's a scene where Zendaya's walking in the carnival and there's fireworks behind her that are out of focus and she's in focus, and it's absolutely beautiful.
I cannot. And then like the scenes with Jules at the end when she's going down that scary like bicycle path lane thingy, like when it's all like
that was so cool.
Oh my god.
You felt like you were in a tunnel watching it.
And then when like you see the silhouette as like Nate, who is like Tyler, is like walking through the mist. Let's go ahead and get into like the nitty gritty of the episode because so much happens in this episode, you guys.
This is a big episode.
She's beefy. So this is Jules's episode, and oh my god.
I love being able to see Jules's background.
Yeah, but it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was. But you really got to understand her character more and her actions and why she is the way she is.
So we got to see Jules pre like physical transition. So she at the time was still presenting as a girl, but her mother wanted her to be a little boy. So she was taken to a psychiatric ward under false pretenses, thinking it was therapy.
She was in the facility and she turns around and realizes that the doors is locked and that her mother is now leaving her there, and she was screaming. That was heartbreaking. And obviously you can tell that how traumatizing that would be, being left in that place, because if you saw the episode, that facility looked absolutely
terrifying.
Horrible.
I can't believe
it looked like a prison.
That little kid, oh my god, what an amazing actor. Like, right? Holy crap, that blew me away. So sad when, you know, they were speaking about, I forget what the exact line was, but it was something along the lines of like, Jules felt like her body didn't belong to her, and that was just really heartbreaking to me. Like,
she hated her life, not because it was bad, but because when you hate your brain and your body, it's hard to enjoy the rest.
Like she was constantly having to be the other people's idea of who she should be.
Yeah.
And she was so depressed that she ended up self-harming, and that was so difficult to watch. It was, see, they did it in such a good way though, because the only thing I can compare it to is in 13 Reasons Why, that final scene, if you know, you know, that was so graphic and horrible to watch.
It made me feel sick to my stomach trying to watch that.
The way they did this one, I don't think it was too graphic because we didn't actually see it, but we did see, like, it was implied and you saw the blood.
Yeah.
And I think they handled it really well, but Jules' story is just so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really gives you such a great insight into the stuff that trans kids have to go through.
Yeah.
Like figuring that out as a child,
And then,
as a kid, when you're still just trying to figure out the world.
Because obviously LGBTQ people are more at risk of mental health issues, so having to have that on top of that, and then your parents not accepting you, like your mother, who should be the one person in the world who loves you unconditionally, heartbreaking. But it's so nice to see how like happy Jules is now, as she's accepted herself and embraced herself.
And she's absolutely beautiful now.
Stunning,
like,
inside and out. So then we get into the carnival scene. Maddy rocks up. Oh, Maddy and Cassie in this episode, we love them.
Y'all don't want me here because I look like a hooker.
Literally, love in there,
That outfit I've seen on TikTok so much. Oh my god.
Okay, I love Maddy, but like, what did she think she was doing?
I mean, I know what she was doing. I loved it.
Could like sis that fit at a carnival with her children.
Yeah,
like she's not in a nightclub, but like Nate shouldn't have said that. That was disgusting. That was disrespectful. Yes. So this is like such a small town that they have like a chili bake off.
I don't get that.
That's just weird. But like Nate's dad, who like owns the town and everything, is having his chili cook off, and Nate's parents already don't like Maddy. So of course, seeing this fit, Nate's like, you look like a hooker. Go home, get dressed. Yeah. Which Nate. We don't like you.
Cassie and Mckay show up now. They've been kind of dating exclusive, I would say now. They're calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend. They're saying they love each other.
Like, oh, is this your girlfriend? Oh, it's Nate's dad. And he's like, nah, man, we just chilling.
We're just chilling.
And she's like,
we're just chilling.
So obviously, naturally, Cassie's really upset like that.
I
because
would be too.
Mckay has worms for brain.
Yeah.
He has worms for a brain.
Absolute worms for brain.
So then Cassie's upset because Mckay, Maddy's upset because of Nate. And the two of them get together and they do Molly. And I'm not
do Molly?
I'm not endorsing drug use, but let's just say that this entire Molly trip was iconic.
That was so
them in the room with the mirrors, iconic. You'll see that. You saw that in the beginning of the video.
You've seen that.
Cassie like making out with that guy and then like riding the carousel.
She orgasmed.
She orgasmed on the carousel as people were watching. That scene was glorious to watch. I felt bad for her, but also like, oh my god, that was amazing.
I loved it.
She was that euphoric.
Euphoric. Yeah. And then that's when Maddy gets angry.
And she like goes and does a slow clap as everyone's clapping for the chili off, and she goes and knocks over the chili and calls Nate's mother a cunt.
A cunt!
Literally!
A bee!
Nate goes and like grabs Maddy, takes her behind this trailer and literally strangles her. Then she goes and confronts him. I don't think we've even mentioned this, but she was going through Nate's phone and found pictures, like 40 pictures of other guys' dicks. So she's like obviously super confused, like, is her boyfriend gay? What's going on? That's really weird. And then she brings it up and he's like, it's not what it looks like, babe. You don't get it. Like, just like give me some time. Like, it's a hot ass mess. And then at the end of the episode, we get to see all of the bruises on Maddy's neck, which is just heartbreaking. Her neck is covered in finger marks and bruises.
You can see exactly where his hand was.
It's so sad. Okay, but then anyway, tracking back to the Jules and Rue section. So obviously, Jules and Rue, it's kind of awkward because in the previous episode, Rue kissed Jules. So Jules and Rue make up and then they go and look for Gia.
Which was a really nice makeup. They were like, can we just pretend it didn't happen?
And she's like,
Jules
what happened?
What happened?
What are you talking about? And then this is when they go ahead and look for Gia, who is missing. Gia's off smoking the devil's levers.
She's smoking the ganja burn, ganja burn.
Hey, every time I get high, I just think about you. So then Jules, we didn't mention, goes and confronts Nate's dad and asks for chili. His hands shaking about.
And he's like...
And then he drops the chili and he gives it. And then she walks away. And then he comes and he finds her while she's alone. And like, you were scared probably. I remember being scared the first time. I was like, what's he going to do to her?
What's he going to do?
But he was actually kind of nice.
Yeah, he
given
was just
everything.
like,
just
what
don't
do you
ruin my
want?
life.
Like, don't ruin my life. Please don't tell anyone.
And she's like, I have no intentions of doing any of that. I almost feel bad for him because like...
There's so much self-hatred and it's so embedded in him.
So then Rue finds Gia and it's like kind of a sad scene because there's annoying thing one and thing two guys, Mckay's little brothers, are like, oh, like don't listen to her. Didn't you just get out of rehab? I wouldn't take advice from a drug addict. And it's just like, shut up.
You would take advice from someone who just came out of rehab.
Because she's like trying to...
She's been through it.
She doesn't want you to get to the same place where she was at. She knows. But anyway, so that's kind of like everything that happens to the carnival. And then Jules, like a freaking idiot, she literally has worms for brain in this scene. She goes to meet up with Tyler, who's Nate.
Yes,
She's never even seen his face, and she meets him in this creepy park of all places. Like,
so secluded. There's hardly any lighting. There's no people around her. I don't even know if there's cell service there.
This scene, honestly, for me, when I remember watching it for the first time, had the most tension in the entire series. Like, when it was revealed, well, we always knew it was Nate, but like when she found out it was Nate, I was like, is he gonna kiss her? Is he gonna push her in the lake? Is he gonna kill her? Like, what is he gonna do?
What's going to happen?
With Nate, you never know. And it's like weird because he's like saying that she's beautiful and he like kisses her, but then he's like threatening her and stuff like that because he doesn't want her to like.
I think he does feel feelings for her, but
he's like doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to. He hates the part of himself
which
that
is stupid because she's a woman.
Yeah.
So like you're not gay, Nate, if you want to be with Jules, but like obviously she's trans, so he's super like conservative and stuff, and it's just really intense. So then he threatens Jules by saying that if she speaks out about his dad or anything, then he will use her child pornography against her.
Because she's underage in that state, she can still be fined with child pornography even though she took them.
For distributing her own photos. That makes no sense to me. And then also having Tyler's photos. So there's nothing she can do about this, obviously, because like he's kind of got her in a corner because he's an evil genius. So then that kind of leads on to what happens in the next episode. So let's move on to episode 5, which is titled 03 Bonnie and Clyde.
My own checks like I read what I sing. Yeah. Stop watching my neck, it's flossy. Make big deposits, my gloss, it's chopped.
So this is Maddy's episode. Why don't you start talking about it since Maddy's your favorite character?
As a child, Maddy is in like the pageant scene.
Which we don't know much about.
No, we don't really know much about the pageant scene. I haven't really encountered many pageants in Australia. But basically, you're judged by looks, talent, everything. And she basically says her way of winning is confidence. And that's where she learns how to be confident.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be the widest, the skinniest, the blondest.
No,
the
she just needs to be the most confident because that's why she looks so beautiful throughout this whole entire series.
So then we go back to present day and Maddy is going to school in a turtleneck.
Trying to cover it with makeup, her bruises on her neck.
She's in a classroom that's like really hot and she gets overheated and she passes out, and then they take her to the nurse's office and they see that she has bruises all over her neck, and then the principal starts interviewing everyone.
Basically, they come to a conclusion that Nate did it to her because they know that Nate is her boyfriend.
And they know that people are saying they've been getting into fights lately.
Yes. And they know that he has that kind of nature, I guess. So basically, her parents come into the office, his parents come into the office, and Maddy's parents, or Maddy's mum, basically decides to press charges.
And Maddy's freaking out because obviously she loves him and she doesn't want to do this. And Nate's saying that he didn't do it, liar. And his dad believes him because obviously his dad's messed up.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same.
And then Nate gets suspended from school. And it's like a really big deal because he's suspended until the charges are done and the case has been closed. And there were police and everything. It was like a really big deal.
Yeah.
And Jules...
I felt really bad for Maddy in that scene.
Yeah, I did feel bad for her because she's in such a toxic relationship.
Yeah, and she's
blind.
She thinks that he's done nothing wrong, and she thinks that this is all for nothing. He shouldn't be charged anything, but he should be.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, so backing track to Kat. So we actually forgot to speak about how in the previous episode, Kat was kind of flirting with Ethan, who's the guy who's been sitting next to her, kind of flirting on her. And she's really into him, but then she sees him talking to some pretty blonde girl and assumes that he's flirting.
She assumes that he's flirting because the girl's smiling, like he's smiling, and in that scene it does zoom in on him and it shows a bit of that conversation. It's just a work conversation.
Yeah, like she literally just made an assumption, which is stupid. So then she goes and has sex with this guy who like was like the most popular guy at high school, but like he's like been gone for ages.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he literally asks how old she is and she's like 16 and he still sleeps with her, and the guy's like 23 or something. Disgusting. I just love when he finishes and he's like, did you come? And she's like, no. And then she just walks away.
And she's just smiling as she walks off.
Yeah, she's like, the reason I bring this up is because in this episode, she kind of has a bit of a tiff with Ethan because Ethan's like, yo, like, why are you being like that? And she's like, I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone. It's like a whole thing. So then later on, Kat goes to try on some clothes and there's like this really cool scene where and she's like,
there's nothing more powerful than a fat girl who doesn't give a fuck.
You should see me in the crowd.
But that just goes to prove what we said before. it doesn't matter what you look like, confidence is the sexiest
Confidence
thing.
is the key.
I mean, Kat's
Confidence-
beautiful, but still.
She's beautiful anyway, but confidence just makes her stunning.
So then she goes and tries on some clothes at the store, and she's kind of eyeing up the clothing store clerk. And this is where we get a bit more of like Kat's issues, because like she wants to hook up with him and she imagines it, and she goes back the next day and like they go to talk when he finishes work, like talking, trying to get to know her, and she's like, you know, you don't have to do this, right? If you want to sleep with me,
you can just like sleep with me. Why are you trying to talk to me? Why are you trying to ask me questions?
Yeah.
And he's like, I was just trying to get to know you first.
Yeah, and she's like, oh no, blah blah blah, like basically I don't want it. So then she goes to his car and sucks the cork. He finishes in like 10 seconds.
How'd you come when you only put the tip in?
Yeah, basically that's what happened. It was pretty pathetic. And also, this is the episode where like Maddy is crying, right? She's like so upset, and she calls Kat to speak to her, and Kat's like, sorry, I can't talk right now, I'm busy. She was being a really bad friend.
Yeah.
Like you could tell that Maddy was in some
really
dire
upset.
help. And but like, you know what, then Maddy goes and like speaks to Nate, and they go hook up in a hotel room. So this becomes like their regular thing.
And it's very reminiscent of his dad, who uses
The same hotel room.
They literally drove past each other as his dad was hooking up with someone else.
His dad slept with like this gay guy.
I don't think they slept together.
No,
Remember,
they did.
No, because he was like, can you just talk to me?
Yeah, I think they would have.
They probably, they didn't show, but I'm guessing.
Yeah, and the dad's like, do you think me doing this like rubs off on my kids? And he's like, I don't know. Like, I don't care. He's attracted to him, but he's disgusted by him at the same time, because he's like, it's horrible. Like, he's like so homophobic, but like sexual with them as well. It's like he's internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the episode kind of ends off with Jules and Rue going with Lexi roller skating, and like, so cute. Jules is like, well, Rue's doing so well, and Lexi's like, it's because of you. And this is when it clicks for Jules that, oh my god,
I'm her crutch.
I'm her crutch. I'm her new addiction. She's just replaced the drugs with me. And that's like a lot to put on Jules. Like, she has her own issues. She doesn't need someone to be depending on her. Codependent relationships. Oh, this is not even codependent, because Jules doesn't depend on her. This is a dependent relationship.
Yeah.
It's very unhealthy.
I don't blame Jules getting really scared by that, because Jules is thinking, what if we do get in a relationship and then I break up with her? She's going to absolutely lose it.
That's so much pressure. I totally see where she's coming from, because like when you get into a relationship, you already have to be vulnerable and put yourself on the line, because either way, one of you or both of you is getting hurt.
Yeah.
But when you add this layer to it, it just makes it that much
harder.
But anyway, this kind of bleeds into the rest of the episodes and creates more of an arc. So let's get into the next episode, which is called The Next Episode.
Thought I saw the devil this morning, looking in the mirror, drop of rum on my tongue with a warning.
Alrighty, so this is Mckay's episode, which is our least favorite character.
Yeah, to me, he's so boring.
He's so boring.
And bland.
He's the most cookie cutter character. He's like the jock who like wants more in life, but his dad puts this pressure on him to be a jock, and he's just one of the guys, but like he's a nice guy and he respects women.
I was really good at school, but now when I go to college, there's guys better than me.
Because like before I was like a big fish in a small pond, and now I'm like a small fish in a big pond. Boo-hoo, you whore. His like the beginning of this episode to me is so boring.
Yeah, me too.
Couldn't care less.
Yeah, I couldn't care less. I was like,
yeah, which is kind of annoying, because all the other characters are so complex, but Mckay's so basic. And also, I don't think football players are watching the show, so like we could have filled in with another spot.
Yeah,
but I think it was more just for like the girls who've dealt with guys like this.
Yes, yeah. Just to see their background.
And why he acts the way that he does. Okay, so then moving on, like I said, Nate is suspended from school, and it's bleeding into the rest of the town and affecting everything. He goes to a restaurant, and the guy pulls his dad aside, and they won't even let him eat there.
No, they're like, we heard about the trial. I'll just get your takeaway and I'll bring it to your car.
So then this is when Nate breaks into Tyler's apartment again.
His eyes, he was so frightened. Like you could see in his eyes. His eyes were red. He said he had a detached retina. He's in a neck brace.
Yeah.
And he's so scared. He's like, please don't do anything. Like, I've been having migraines. I was in the hospital for a week.
And then Nate's just like, shut up. Like, he just has such
care.
disregard for his life. So basically what Nate says is, you're going to go and admit to choking Maddy. Say you got mad at her for not sleeping with you and you choked with her. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, well, if you don't, I'm going to tell them that you raped her.
Yeah.
Because it would be statutory
Of her
rape.
age.
And everybody saw it at the party. So he's like manipulated and pushed him into a corner because there's nothing else he can do. And now they have Jules to corroborate the story. Because like I said in the previous episode, he had the blackmail.
He also has Jules manipulated and blackmailed into that exact narrative. And he has Tyler blackmailed.
And he has Maddy wrapped around his finger.
And he has Maddy
because
wrapped
Maddy
around
will
his
do
finger.
anything to be with him. And I just feel so bad for Jules. Obviously, I feel horrible for Tyler the most. I feel so bad for him. And then because like really, he's innocent. Like he just got stuck in a mess.
He was just
He was
making
just
out
wrong
with
place,
a girl
wrong
at a
time.
party. Wrong place, wrong time. time.
And I just feel really bad for Jules because Jules was in there and the officer was like, you realize that if you're lying and this isn't an honest testament, you can go to prison.
Yeah.
And Jules has to go through with it because
she has
either
to.
way she would go to prison the other way.
Yeah.
So this is all she can do. And you could just see how
defeated
she is.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's so sad.
It's so sad.
So then we go and see Mckay and Cassie. So Cassie goes with Mckay dressed in this like costume and he's like, ugh, like what are you wearing? Like that's stupid. Like,
Which
ugh.
I can relate to.
And I just think it's so horrible because so many girls will be like, oh yeah, I would love to wear that, but my boyfriend wouldn't let me. Like if somebody tells you what to wear, drop them.
I was in that situation.
Yeah.
That I would look at other girls and be like, whoa, that's so pretty, but I could never wear that because the person I was with would never let me.
So then Cassie just ends up wearing this boring outfit.
She's wearing one of Mckay's like football tops and she goes and
everybody else
it's
is
very
wearing.
obvious that she wanted to wear what she was first wearing.
And then at the party, she's just like looking off to the side. He's like kind of ignoring her, talking to everyone else. You can tell she clearly doesn't fit in, and he's not making any effort to like fit her in.
Fit her in, yes.
Yeah. Then they go to sleep together, and fraternity friends burst in, pull him to the ground, and they haze him. So
now this scene, we were even looking it up afterwards,
trying to figure out what happened.
I'm still confused. There are a couple of theories on what happened.
Yeah, but it's just weird because like the actor himself was talking about how this was so difficult for him to film, and it was so traumatizing. And I found what happened after this to Cassie's character way more traumatizing, but I guess everyone's different. But like, you couldn't tell what they did to him.
You're not shown anything, you're not told anything, no idea.
Which I don't understand why they show graphic stuff being done to the girls sexually, but not the guys. I just don't think that's fair, but whatever. So then he goes into the bathroom and he cries, and Cassie's like, are you okay? And he won't talk to her. And then he comes out and he's like, why are you wearing your top?
Yeah, like, we're still gonna have sex. Why are you wearing your top?
Yeah, and he just like uses her like a sexual object.
Yeah,
and that was heartbreaking to watch Cassie's face as she was being used. And he didn't even kiss her afterwards, didn't even help clean up. Like, he just used her.
It was disgusting.
Yeah, that was for me more heartbreaking to watch, honestly, than what happened to him.
Me too. Because, I mean, I'm obviously a woman, so I can understand, but with Mckay, we still don't know what happened.
But so even regardless of what happened, it's like, hurt people, I get that, but you don't need to inflict pain upon her. She's trying to comfort you.
Yeah.
He's doing that to make him feel like more of a man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then they go to the big Halloween party. This was really fun, seeing all of them dressed up, doing their thing.
Oh my god!
And then
Lexi, what a queen!
Lexi
she was
dressed
Bob
as
Ross.
Oh my god, we stand Lexi.
This made me love her so much. I was like, this is so funny.
So like a lot happens in this party. Basically, Cassie goes and hooks up with Daniel, who is a massive asshole. Like, oh my god, he is the biggest prick.
Yeah.
He's like,
you are so fucking boring. Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you because no one else will. Any guy who says he's interested in you beyond just fucking you is full of shit.
Like, he is so disgusting.
She is just an object to him, nothing else.
And like after what she just experienced with Mckay almost caught her, by the way, but then Lexi saved her. Shout out to you, Lexi.
Thanks, Lexi boo.
I honestly, oh my god, it was just, I don't even feel bad that she was cheating on Mckay because I just cannot stand
But
him.
I feel bad that it was with him because he is an asshole.
Yeah, he was grooming her. He was being nice to her to begin with. And he's like, feel my dick, it hurts. It's so hard. I was like, shut up. Yo, can someone please castrate this man?
Literally.
And then Jules, because obviously Jules is dealing with like, oh my god, the dependency Rue's like, depending on me. She like just drinks herself to oblivion.
Fez is sitting down and Rue finds him and she apologizes him for the previous episode where she was screaming at his door, begging for drugs. She was like sorry for that, but she was really appreciative that he didn't open the door and give her any drugs.
And he was like really understanding because I think he knew what she was going through.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate that. And then Kat goes and hooks up with Ethan. That was really mean of Kat to be like, I don't sleep with virgins. Like, sis, weren't you a virgin like 3 weeks ago?
Like, don't judge.
Yeah.
You were a virgin. But this is the first time that a guy has ever actually gone down on her.
And actually given her
and
pleasure.
pleasured her.
Yeah. She's like, oh, why do you just want to sleep with me like this and that? And he's like, no, like I actually want to talk to you. She thinks that all men want from her their body because she doesn't realize that there are actually guys out there that want more.
There are good guys out there.
There are some good guys. Not like Mckay good guys. Like Ethan is
actual good guys.
Ethan's probably the only nice male character in the show, to be honest. Fez is problematic, Holly. He's a drug dealer.
Yeah, but he's a nice person.
He killed the guy at the end.
Yeah, true.
We'll get into that later on. So then basically Nate and Maddy rock up, they kiss, they make out, it's a whole mess. Jules is shook as well, but from seeing them, and Rue is confused, and then Rue and Jules have a fight, and then Rue leaves, and it's like a whole fiasco, and that's basically how the episode ends, in a mess. It's like someone shat in their hand and then they clapped. That's the vibe I'm getting. Alrighty, moving on to the next episode, number 7, The Trials and Tribulations of Trying to Pee While Depressed, which, what an awesome name for an
That's
episode.
such a long name. I love that.
But we stand. So this is Rue's depression episode, for lack of a better word. She's laying in bed for a really long time, and I can relate to this. I struggled with depression. Thank God for Lexapro. Antidepressants.
We love Lexi.
We stand. But before then, I would not leave my bed for days. I wouldn't shower.
And this is before we lived together, so I couldn't get you out of bed. I couldn't help you the way that I could help you.
Being depressed when you live alone is like next level, because like there's no one there to check on you. So just like laying in bed for days, not showering, eating like crap, feeling like shit, like just feeling horrible. I never got to the point where I wouldn't pee. I don't really personally understand that, but like, I mean, I think she just left it so long that it got too painful for her to even pee.
Yeah.
Like and that's what messes me up about people saying that they romanticize mental illnesses in the show.
That's not.
I wouldn't want to be that.
No, that is, a kidney infection is so painful.
Yeah, like, and my sister's had one, and to like see her go through that, and like the way they zoomed into her organs and seeing it filling, that was intense.
That was.
So then Jules is also depressed. Not on the same scale, but like she's depressed as well. So Jules and Rue are depressed because they fought and they love each other, but they're fighting and they're not talking, and it's a whole fiasco. What we forgot to mention is this is Cassie's episode. Cassie's probably my favorite character. I love Cassie so much. Her story arc with her parents, I really can relate to. My mother was an alcoholic as well, but really what she dealt with was her dad. So her dad was a drug addict. He constantly struggled to bring money into the family. Her mother and father were constantly fighting. Eventually the dad just left. He did visit them now and then, but it just got slower and slower over time.
He was in a car accident, I think.
Oh yeah, because he was driving drunk.
Yeah, so he was driving drunk and he was in a car accident. Now afterwards, he then gets addicted to painkillers, and that then escalates from there. So he leaves, and then there's this one scene that's so sad where she hasn't seen him in months, and she gets a text from him saying, can you come and open the garage door? And you see him, and it zooms down to like the inner bit of his arm. You can tell that he's been having heroin. And basically, he's like, I just need a couple of things.
And she's like, Dad, I miss you. And she's crying. And he just goes inside, steals some china.
Things.
And then leaves.
And that, she said that was the last time that she saw him.
It was heartbreaking. I feel so bad for her. So then obviously Cassie has a lot of daddy issues. And that kind of speaks about why she's gotten into so many exploitative relationships with men. All these guys that have like asked to film her and coerced her. And then every single time they share her nudes and they share her photos. And she keeps doing it again because she's like in this horrible cycle.
And she said everyone she falls really hard, really fast,
and
really in love.
She constantly needs to be in a relationship to validate herself, and because of her daddy issues, and feel like men loves her, and she's like filling that hole that she doesn't have from her parents. And her sister Lexi's like the complete opposite. She never is in a relationship. They don't really touch on Lexi. I really need a Lexi episode.
I need a Lexi episode. We love Lexi.
We love Lexi.
She's one of my favorites, just because she's just cool, hanging out in the back there.
She's unproblematic, she's funny, she's supportive. We need to know. We need more.
Yeah.
100%. So then Rue has a lot of suspicions about Nate. She is really suspicious of this whole case with Tyler, and she thinks Jules is involved somehow. So then we get Detective Rue.
Oh my god, this is such a good scene. In Detective Gear, it's so good.
Yeah. So then she's basically telling Fez how she suspects something's going on with Nate, and she wants him to talk to him. So Fez intimidates Nate and is like, don't ever touch Rue, she my girl.
Don't mess with my girl Rue and Jules no more.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, you're pathetic, you're a high school dropout. And then he goes ahead and reports him to the police, and he gets raided. He has to go ahead and flush all of his drugs down the toilet, which is obviously is like intense because he's got this gang leader who's going to come soon and is like,
The
where's my
mouse
money?
one. Yeah.
Where's my moolah? Where's my shmoney? Okay, then we go ahead and have the scene with like all of the Goyles because Cassie wants to speak to them about how she, one, cheated on Mckay and two, is pregnant. So she never actually tells them that she's pregnant, but then we get kind of like a tiff with Kat and Maddy. And Maddie's like, you've been like a real bitch lately. And Kat's like, what? Just because for once it's not all about you?
It's not all about you, Maddy, for once.
I was honestly on Kat's side. Like, I do think it was wrong of Kat not to be there for Maddy, but Maddy literally...
I feel like Kat has always have to be there for Maddy, and maybe Maddie's not there for Kat.
And Maddy acts like the world revolves around her.
Yeah,
and it doesn't. Like, so I'm kind of on Kat's side of the situation.
Me too.
But then Cassie never ends up getting on with it, but then later on she does tell Mckay that she's pregnant. And he is not very supportive.
Not supportive at all.
Like,
you can tell how broken she is.
I agree. She wants to keep it. I don't think that's a good idea, but like at the end of the day, you know, it's her decision, but he doesn't.
Didn't even ask her, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like,
he's just like, he straight away went to
straight
like
away
me.
thought about himself.
He's so selfish. So then Jules and Rue do text each other. They have a bit of an apology, but Jules says she's going to leave for the weekend. So she goes and visits this friend of hers. This part is kind of weird. Like, I get it because I think it's going to lead into the second season.
Yeah, I think these characters might be coming in, and basically
she's getting her makeup done by that
she's
girl.
getting her makeup done by this girl, and this girl is very obviously flirting with her, like very.
I was getting like there's sexual chemistry.
I was like very obviously.
And then they go to a club and they start kissing and making out, and that's like a whole thing.
She took something.
Oh yeah,
I think she was really high. Yeah. Basically, she hallucinates Nate being there.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
She I forgot about that. She hallucinates that like she's like making out with Nate.
Yeah. So she hallucinates that Nate is there, and then she hallucinates. She hallucinates.
And then to the finale, and salt the earth behind you. I have no idea what this means.
No idea. I reckon we could look it up.
Well, we
probably not.
Okay. So
You know when you're with someone and things just aren't right? But you're afraid to ask because the answer might be worse than the feeling right now.
Rue is in the hospital with a kidney infection. Jules
because her mum finds her in the hallway on the floor in fetal position.
I didn't get it. I was like, sis, just piss yourself. Like, so then she's like, yo, give me some of them good drugs. And the doctor's like, oh, you have a history.
We've talked to your mother. We can't give you anything.
And then she's like, oh, whatever. Oh my god, Jules was sleeping in the hospital with her.
That was so sweet.
And then we get this really weird sexual scene with Maddy and Nate struggles to get hard. And it's
because
like,
he's probably thinking about penises.
Yeah, and Maddie's like, it doesn't feel hard, like what's happening? And he's like, maybe because you never shut up. And then she's just like, oh, well, I saw those dicks on your phone. And he's like, I told you not to bring it up. And then he strangles her.
That was more scary than the choke to me.
Yeah, that was intense. And then she's crying. And poor Maddy, she's like, sexuality is a spectrum. It's okay.
It's okay, like, I understand.
Yeah, no one's fully straight or fully gay. And he's like, that's stupid. You're full of shit. And then he goes and showers and she just leaves.
Remember, she finds a tape.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the tape having sex with Jules.
They don't show us what's the tape, so we don't fully know yet, okay?
But that's, we're just speculating.
Yeah, we're just speculating. So yeah, and then Nate's dad is like, you shouldn't belong together. And she's like, this whole family's fucked up.
Does she fucking lie?
And then Nate like jacks off in the mirror while staring at himself.
I thought you just couldn't get hard, like.
It's because he's got too much in his mind. Must be cock on the brain. Oh, by the way, we're not shaming Nate. Like, that's fine if you're into guys. Just like, stop taking it out on your girlfriend.
She was
break up with her and go and explore your sexuality.
So supportive.
So then Nate wins his final football game, couldn't care less.
And his dad seems,
really
even
mad.
though they win, his dad seems disappointed because
he was like messy.
He wasn't a team player.
And then this is when we get the scene where like Nate's in his underwear for some reason, and
this scene was
so like his dad, like they stop fighting and his dad pushes him on the bed, and I don't know why, but when I first watched this, I thought his dad was gonna rape him.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, because I mean, what else would you think? His dad's like a pedophile. He's like into guys. And then Nate starts calling his dad a faggot. That was a lot. And then he's on the ground and his dad gets off him and Nate's just like banging on the ground, staring at himself in the mirror. He hates himself. Jacob Elidori deserves an award for that.
My jaw was just like...
Yeah, it was on the floor. That was his best scene on the show.
You can tell that he's so angry that he's just like his dad.
Okay, and then we get into the part where Cassie gets her abortion, and the show's full of so much color, but this scene was completely void of it. It was so white, clinical,
and bright, and in a hospital, so there's not much color at all.
And they just such an intense close-up of her face, and she's like talking in such a soft whisper, and like they have to ask her questions like, any addiction in your family, and she has to bring it up. It's heartbreaking to watch. Such a raw and real depiction.
It's such an invasive invasive procedure.
And Mckay should have been there.
Mckay should have definitely been
He put
there.
that in her. He should help her get it out. So the rest of the episode is like a montage between the abortion, is breaking into this guy's house to go and get money. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
The prom is like the main section, and then we have a bit of the football game, which anytime it comes to the football game, I was on my phone. I was like, I don't care.
It was a little bit confusing jumping back and forth.
The jumping, in my opinion, in this episode
too much.
Too much.
Because I don't think you needed the football game in there.
Yeah, the abortion could have just been its own scene, not spliced. I do like how they spliced Fez breaking in with the prom, because it really heightened the tension.
Yeah.
So basically we'll just focus on Fez first. So Fez goes to break into the house to steal money so he can give it back to the gang
guys.
Yeah.
Because he was obviously meant to sell all of the drugs and give this guy the money for it, but he doesn't have the drugs anymore. They got flushed down the toilet.
And the guy isn't 100% innocent. He's a doctor, but he's also a drug dealer, so he does what Fez does. So Fez goes and breaks in and like goes to rob him, but the guy pulls out a gun, so Fez beats him to death, we assume.
We don't know.
And he does it the whole time while the guy's son is watching. Feel so bad for that kid. Yeah. He didn't hurt the kid, obviously, but like still, that kid is gonna be traumatized for the rest of his life. That's why I can't fully support Fez.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a lot. I get it. He has a sick grandma. He has his brother, but like still, it's messed up. I can't condone that. Then later on in the episode, the gang leader comes to him and he's like, "Where's my money?" And they see the money and they go to count it, and it has blood on it. And they don't show us what happens later on.
No, that is really such a cliffhanger.
Fez has a gun. The guy has a gun. If Fez dies, I'm gonna be so sad. Okay, so then they go to prom. And just to like speed through this, because it is a lot, it's a really long episode. Basically, Nate takes this other random chick with him to the prom.
We don't know who she is. She's just at his house.
They're making out and he's like lifting up her skirt. Her naked ass cheeks are out in public.
I would feel so weird if someone was trying to show my butt to everyone.
Disgusting. Him and Maddy are eyeing each other up. Maddy goes and just picks any random guys like, "Can you dance?" And the guy's like, walks away, "Can you?" Yeah. And then just grabs him and just
starts.
Yeah, so
she was fucking it up. She was like,
doing a little something. So then, her and Nate are literally just dancing with other people, but staring at each other the whole time. Their relationship is so messed
weird.
up. So messed up. And then eventually, like later on, they do go and dance together. And she's like, "You're bad for me. You're toxic." Blah blah. And the whole time he's like, "I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. I know." I really hope that they're not together in the next season, but I know they will be.
But it felt like she was breaking up with him. She was like, "It means we can't be together." But they probably will be. It's
going to be an on and off thing again.
That's what toxic relationships are like.
100%.
Leaving them is not just like that.
And then they're all at the table reminiscing about high school, talking about it. Cassie's talking about how she wants a break from love. Lexi's talking about how she wants love. And
they're talking about, we're going to be thinking of this night like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And this is prom.
Yeah, they all have different opinions. They're like, "Oh, like high school's so fleeting. High school's such a big deal. High school doesn't matter. Like it's all very conflicting." Jules just wants to leave.
Yeah.
She wants to break free.
And they're saying, I haven't even reached my full capacity yet of like who I am, basically.
Yeah, and Jules was like, I have. I've moved on. I don't need So that was really interesting because obviously high school is a really big part of your life, and once it's over, like a lot of people in my grade, the first year after high school, everybody's just a mess. Nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
People are trying to figure out themselves. There are so many people who still act like they're in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, we won't name names.
But if the shoe fits.
If the shoe fits.
I buy shots, don't duck if it don't apply. And Jules the whole time was annoying me because she was like texting Anna while Rue was right next to her.
Yeah.
And then Jules
went to the bathroom.
And then Rue goes to her and Jules is like, "Why don't you kiss me? Like really kiss me." And you can tell that Rue's like really anxious, so they don't end up kissing. But then they go dance together and they're like dancing, pulling the finger at Nate. That was like such a cool vibe. And then Rue goes outside and Nate goes and he's like intimidating her, basically like, "Jules is gonna leave and forget about you.
Yeah.
Like you're beautiful and she's beautiful.
You're beautiful, but Jules is going somewhere. Yeah. She's got plans.
You're just gonna stay in this dumb town.
You're not going to be anyone. You're gonna stay in this town forever, and she's going to be someone and never be with you."
Yeah, it was harsh, and you can tell it really affected Rue.
Yeah.
And yeah, Nate's just horrible. So then basically we end up with Rue and Jules trying to run away. Jules was like, "Let's leave this town. Let's run away together." Blah blah blah.
You can tell that Rue wants to, but there's something holding her back.
Yeah, and that I think it's because what we were saying is like Jules was ready to go. She was packing her stuff that we're leaving on the train, and you could tell Rue didn't want to. And she was like, "What about my family?" Blah blah blah. And Jules was like, "Please come with me." And eventually Rue decides to stay. Jules leave. It's really heartbreaking. They cry as they go into the they separate. But at the end of the day, Jules is ready to move on. She wants more from life. She knows who she is.
Yeah.
Rue is just coming into herself.
No, she has just gone through rehab.
Yeah.
And all of that, and now she just needs to just get healthy before even figuring out who she is.
And she doesn't want to hurt her mom and her sister and leave her behind.
Yeah.
She's got too much left to do. She's got too much work for herself. And I think this is good. It's heartbreaking, but it's good because they're going in different directions. And sometimes that's what happens in life, is you have a friend, but you're going down different paths and they might not necessarily be the same. And instead of forcing yourself to go down that same path, you are mature enough to realize you need to go down your own.
And I think that was really brave of Rue to actually be like, no, I need to stay.
So I'm personally okay with that. I know a lot of people are hung up on it, but I'm glad Rue stayed.
I'm glad Rue stayed. I don't mind if Jules
is gone.
Leaves
so that's why
I
think that's why they showed those other characters, because in season 2 they're going to show us Jules's life over there, and it'll show us the issues, because this was only like 1 semester of their high school, so they're still juniors, so they still have their whole senior year left.
And in this episode 2, Kat,
Cassie
she makes up with the guy.
She makes up with Ethan.
It's so cute. And they
are literally the only healthy relationship in the show. Kat and Ethan, we stand.
Oh my god. And he like really kissed her.
I'm so
and she like crying because she was like, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to apologize the way I treated you.
And he's just so sweet. I love Ethan. I don't think we mentioned it, but yeah, like Cassie broke up with Mckay. That's over. I really hope they don't get together. Cassie deserves the world. Mckay can just go to college and stay there.
And be a footballer somewhere else.
Something else we didn't mention is Rue asked Jules if she's in love with Anna, and Jules said yes, which says she's known her like a few days. Come on, what? But then she says, "Are you in love with me?" And Jules says yes. So she's in love with both of them. Girl, I don't think Rue is the type to be into polyamory. I don't know. It just ain't it. Basically, the episode ends with the reveal that the red jersey that Rue has been wearing the whole season belongs to her dad, who passed away from cancer. The whole arc with her dad was so heartbreaking. My dad died when I was 4, so I don't fully understand what it's like watching a family member die like that. But it was beautifully heartbreaking.
My mum had cancer. She didn't die, but I understand seeing your parent really sick, like bedridden, really, really sick. I understand that part.
Yeah, and that would be so heartbreaking.
And I can imagine my mum dying from cancer. I can imagine
you would have had
because
to at
it
the
was
time,
at the time when I was 9. At the time, I had to process like, what if she does die?
Yeah, so I feel really bad for Rue. It's clearly created a lot of her issues. And obviously she was pumped full of drugs as a child, and then she starts taking her dad's drugs when he wasn't watching, and then she develops a drug addiction after he dies. Her whole storyline is just so incredibly heartbreaking, and I feel so bad for her. But then the episode ends with, this is like an imaginary thing, so it obviously doesn't actually happen, but the first time in the whole show, Zendaya starts singing All For Us.
Taking it all for us, doing it all for love.
This scene was euphoric. It was so cool with like this was such an A24 thing.
I was gonna say, this is when you're like, oh, this is A24. They produced this.
Yeah.
They're singing. The song has choir.
And they're all like
a choir?
I have no idea how they achieved this. They had like a pile of bodies, and it like looked so real, and she was climbing on top of the pile of bodies, and her body was like flinging left, right, and center.
And she's singing.
And she was dancing with her
People
dad.
lifting up.
Oh my god, it was
It was
stunning.
Euphoric.
But yeah, that was basically it. I love this show. The music by Labyrinth, amazing. Cinematography, amazing. Camera work, color, the characters, the actors, the costumes, the makeup, the themes, the storyline, the dialogue.
Everything. Just the characterization.
Everything.
When I go disappear into that good night.
Till then.
But anyway guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've not already, please go ahead and subscribe and turn on the post notifications bell so that you never miss another upload from me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts on the show. I would love to know. I'm so excited to start the discussion.
Add a discussion down below, like who your favorite character is.
My favorite character is probably Cassie.
My favorite's Maddy. I love them all. I love all the women in this show.
Yeah, that's true. We love all the women in the show. The only men we like in the show is Ethan and Fez.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video once again. If you've not already, please go ahead and click the link in my description or go to expressvpn.com/LukeAlexander for 3 months free of a 1-year package, and it's just $7 after that with a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you want to go ahead and follow Holly, her Instagram link is in the description, as well as the link to all of my social media. Want to keep up with our shenanigans. If you've not already, please go ahead and watch the last video we did together. My second channel is linked down below, as well as my merch. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you're doing well during these difficult times, and I hope to see my next video. And as always, we hope that you have a great day or night
wherever you're in the world.
Bye!